On today's question of faith, do you recognize this voice? Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Question of Faith. I'm Mike Hayes. I am the Young Adult Ministry Director in the Diocese of Cleveland.
And I'm Father Damian, the Vicar for Evangelization.
And I'm Joe Cronauer.
There's the mysterious voice.
Hey, Joe.
I can answer that question. I don't recognize my own voice. Yeah, no.
Well, what's your title? Because we set our titles.
I am the new manager of communications here at the Catholic Diocese of Cleveland.
Hey, look at that.
Yes.
Wonderful to have you.
And where might we have heard this voice before?
Well, in Cleveland broadcasting, I've been involved in almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was in
really?
radio back in Akron in the late 80s at 97.5 WONE. My radio partner and myself, Brian Fowler, who I've known since high school.
Wow.
So we went to neighboring high schools in Parma. He went to Valley Forge. I went to Normandy. We met there, and we got back together. We found each other at OU, Ohio University, down in Athens, Ohio, and we became fast friends. I looked at him and said, "Oh, cool, a friend." And he looked at me and said, "Wow, maybe a ride home once in a while." So Brian and I became very, very close. And it was, you know what? I will say this: our relationship was based on faith from the very beginning. It really
kidding.
was. Yeah, we.
How so?
Well, Brian and I, we're both from Parma, and we have a lot of things in common. Both
Where
are
all good things come from.
Right, well, there you
Father?
go.
True.
There you
Although
go.
I was born in Cleveland, raised in Parma.
Well,
There you go.
we found out early on that we have so many similarities. Our parents' names, separate parents, both named Gene and Joe.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so we both grew up on corner houses in Parma, and we had a lot of similarities. He went to Holy Family. I went to St. Columkill. And Brian made a renewal. I made a renewal. And we just started sharing back and forth, as guys sometimes do. Yeah, let's talk about God. We started praying with each other, and we said, wouldn't it be awesome if someday we can work together? Well, God hears all prayers. And it wasn't long after that. We went through college, we separated, and we went our separate ways. But we started working together in 1988 in
Wow.
Akron. We got that answer to prayer, and we were together for almost 23 years as a morning team.
Wow.
We were in Akron. We went out to Denver for a while. Went down to Dayton, Ohio. Came back home, which we never dreamt it would be possible, because generally, in the broadcasting world, you really can't stay at home.
Right.
But we ended up working at 107.9 The End for about a year, 2 years. Then we went to WMMS for 7 years. Then we went to Mix 106.5 for over 12 years.
Ah, the life of broadcasting.
Yes. We swung from one vine to another. But no, God provided, and we were so blessed to be able to work together for as long as we did.
Joe, you said that you made a renewal. What is that?
It was Christ Renews His Parish
Ah,
back in the late 50s. No, I'm kidding. We did that. I did that in high school, and that's where my eyes were really kind of opened up. A great man by the name of Joe Koopman, who is the father of Father Koopman. He was at St. Anthony's Parish at a one-day retreat renewal. And he just made a huge impact on me, because I thought, well, there's my math teacher from Normandy High School, and he's talking about Jesus, and I just thought it was mind-blowing that, that could happen, and it was just an incredible, like I said, eye-opening and heart-opening experience. So then from there, I made another retreat renewal at St. Columkill, and then I kind of just opened up to all of that. So I became a youth minister at St. Columkill Parish when I was in college through the incredible ministry of Father William Krizner. And he was he was a brand new priest at Columkill at the time, and putting together this formation of young adults that were involved. Mike, I think you know something about that.
One or two things.
Yeah, so it was just an incredible start. And through that, I just became more and more involved in ministry in Cleveland. In fact, when I moved to Nashville after I graduated, I had a letter from Father Krizner. It's kind of a reference letter, because I didn't have a job or I didn't have a place to stay in Nashville. But I wanted to move down there because the cost of living was approachable.
Yes.
I was writing music. I didn't know if I wanted to get on radio or TV. I was going anywhere I possibly could, and I kind of felt led to go down there. And I was down there for 2.5 years, and when I left Nashville, I was working at a Christian radio station in Nashville. And then the opportunity to work with Brian in secular radio opened up, prayed about it, and started that journey. And I had no idea it would last almost 24 years.
Wow.
It's wild.
It's amazing.
Well, you mentioned Father Krizner, and actually, he's the one responsible in some weird way for you being here today.
I agree.
And so a little bit about how Joe's story and my story collided. Father Krizner, after he left St. Columkill, served at Holy Name High School, which is one of our diocesan high schools, Catholic high schools here in Cleveland. And he was a full-time chaplain there for 22 years. So when I was in high school, from 1990 to 1994, I saw Father Krizner pretty much every day. And he was a great priest. He was a strange priest. He really was. An
I was so
odd
glad I
man.
got to meet him before he passed.
Yeah.
Well, when you say strange priest, he had,
in a good way.
No, yeah, but no, he was very eclectic. He loved Lord of the Rings, and he loved Tolkien, and he loved, just the writings. And a lot of people don't realize Father Krizner actually did a lot of writing on his own, too. But he, like when you say he was a full-time chaplain, he was there on the premises. He lived at Holy Name High School, along with a dog that followed him.
Shadow.
Appropriately named Shadow. And Shadow was a part of that whole experience. So for you as a student to see a man of God wearing a collar and being a part of that every day, it had a huge impact, no doubt.
Yeah, and back in the day, Krizner ran Holy Name High School like a college campus ministry. And what I mean by that was there was something going almost every night in the chapel, and every Sunday night we had Mass there at 7 p.m., and it would bring hundreds of teens to church, and it was great, and I got to know him really well. And a few times a year he would do something called Discipleship Week. And what he would do, he would invite people in who he knew mostly from his first assignment, who were his former teens or young adults who were now kind of out in the working world, and they would come in and give witness talks. So I'm thinking of Cheryl Lucky.
Sure.
Oh, and Mary Lou Beers just passed. Did you know this?
No, I did
just
not know that.
Yesterday, we got that email. So the funeral's going to be at St. Mary Magdalene Parish. And she used to come in with Jim. Jim and Mary Lou Beers would come in and give talks. Sister Denise Marie would come in. And this guy named Joe Cronauer, who, when we were in high school, we heard on the radio on 107.9 and then eventually WMMS. And I think you came in once with Brian, but
right.
Most of the time you came by yourself. And I remember Joe coming in with his guitar, and he would talk about faith, and then I'll never forget, he played a song that he wrote for an English class. He was supposed to write a paper, but instead he wrote a song, and it had some line about his teddy bear, and it was somebody working through fear.
Yes.
And I was like, this is cool.
It was called Eyes of a Child, yeah, and I wrote it because I needed to do an assignment. So I thought, well, I have this song written. Let's see if I can work this in and get totally off the hook. And I did, and I actually got a pretty high mark on it, so I got away with it. But no,
Creativity.
I would write these songs, and like I said, I was songwriting at the time, and still do. But but it was a great opportunity to share faith with young adults that were just, Father Krizner, that whole atmosphere, and I know, Mike, you know how it is, where you can get that little spark going, and it's just, you have no idea where it's going to go, but you're just following God's plan and thinking, boy, I'm just so glad to be a part of it. So to see this young man by the name of Damian and so many other students like him, that just were just totally on fire and just completely opposite of what you would think of a high school student. High school student, when I was in high school, I was just get me out of here. They wanted to hang out at Holy Name. They wanted to be at church. They wanted to be involved. And when Mass happened, it was a holy time.
It was. Krizner, he brought us the faith in a way that we could understand it. It would make sense. He preached to us on a level that a lot of priests, at least at that time, weren't able to do, or I didn't hear do, and was able to introduce us to the real presence of the Eucharist and Our Lady and his love of Scripture, but also in a way that was just deep, and he's like a Pennsylvania Slovak, so it was also very folksy. It was not like super high churchy, but it also was not like it wasn't cheesy. It was reverent. There was a reverence, and there was also an informality at the same time that he was able to pull off. That just spoke to my heart. And so, he was evangelizing us as teens by bringing in his former teens and young adults to just share faith witnesses. And that's what makes a renewal work, right?
Yeah, right.
It's people sharing their stories of their
real
faith,
life.
Real life experiences, and hearing about hard times and about suffering and about joy, and saying, geez. And I was raised in a good Catholic home, but it's so important that you have people outside your parents telling you the same story with little different twists, because then it makes your parents more credible. It's like, okay, my mom and dad have to say this, but this guy's on the radio and he's saying this, and that sounds true.
Yeah. Different perspective means everything, And it's just like if anybody has children, you know that no matter how many times you tell them, they're like, yeah, whatever, but they can hear it from a different source, exact same content, and they're like, oh, wow, and you're like, really?
Come on. Yeah.
But you know what? I think that's how God works. I mean, he uses different vessels, different instruments all the time, and that's why it's just so important that you just never know how God is going to talk to you and through and who God is going to use as an instrument.
Indeed, yeah.
Krizner, he smoked cigarettes up into his dying day, and there's a great story when he was at St. Colette's. He's a wonderful preacher, great community builder, and he was outside with his dogs, and he slipped on the ice and broke his hip. And the maintenance guy, I think it was Bill Gorey maybe, found him and said, he's like, Father, we're going to call 911. He's like, hold on, let me have a cigarette before, because I won't be able to smoke for a few days in the hospital.
He knew it.
But that was Kriz. So he, unfortunately, or fortunately for his sake and the sake of the kingdom, he passed, he died in April. And he received the sacraments before he died. Father Andrew Hoover came in and anointed him, because I came the next day and he was already, he had already been anointed. And I got to say goodbye to him, and he died a few days later. And then I had not seen Joe in a while, but we ran into each other at the wake.
Right.
And then I said, are you going to be at the funeral mass the next day? And he said, of course I'll be at the funeral mass. So even within the homily, I was preparing, thinking about Father Krizner and his impact on my life, and how Joe impacted my life and Sister Denise. And so I mentioned that in the homily, and then a couple days later, Joe texted me. He's like, well, you should get together to eat. And so we got together, and then he was telling me about what the Lord was doing in his life, and he was thinking, is there a possible, like, maybe there's something going on here? And I said, check this out. And I texted him the open position here.
Right.
And then he's like, this looks like something right at my alley. And then
it opened up. I mean, it's one of those situations where you just don't know, and it's networking. I mean, and I mean that in a spiritual way. You don't know who's going to be an instrument to swing from, like I said, one vine to another. But truthfully, I give the intercession of Father Krizner a lot of credit in that. Absolutely. So here I am.
Yeah. So what's your job? What are the things that you're doing? What exactly do you do here, Joe?
That's a great question, Mike. There's so many great things happening here with the Diocese of Cleveland. And there's so many things happening, but we got to make sure that people hear the good things that happen. And I just think that I'm brought in to make sure that pipeline, that channel is being utilized, and I'm doing everything I can in the short time I've been here to kind of gather up all these wonderful opportunities that people are doing. So many things in parish life, and Mike, what you do with the young people. I mean, I have a feeling that 5 years from now we're going to talk about the league, the baseball league that is formed. It's going to be like in depth, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all across the country, and youth groups are going to be playing youth groups from Wisconsin or something. Who knows where this is going to go? But no, I mean, just in what great things are happening here in the Diocese of Cleveland. So I just want to get the word out and maybe utilize some of the experience I've had in the past of working in television and radio. I'm also very involved with TV the last 20 years. Channel 3 at WKYC here in Cleveland. It's the NBC affiliate. I'm involved. I'm on the air. I host a show at noon called Good Company. And I deal with a lot of great things that are happening. It's a great name because, we're trying to get the good word out about certain companies around town and functions and fundraisers and organizations that do really good things. So shining a positive light in that regard. So if I can shine a positive light here throughout the Diocese of Cleveland, and I'm not creating the light, believe me, there's so many wonderful people, both of you included in that are doing just incredible things. Really, I mean, my goodness, ballpark mass, I mean, come on. How awesome is that? And there's just so many great things that are launching. And I just am so happy to be a part of it. So if I can help in getting the word out in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to do it.
There you go.
Great.
So Joe, where do you get renewed these days when you go to church?
We have been, my wife Gina and I, we have 4 sons. We're blessed with 4 sons. And they're in their 20s, and my oldest is now, our oldest is now 30. We've been a part of St. Basil's. St. Basil the Great in Brecksville now
Popular.
for 23, 24 years. So it's been a wonderful parish, and in being around the world, if you will, at least in the country, going out to Denver when we did, and Dayton, and stopping in at a church and saying, okay, is this a good fit? It was just a really, really good fit for us to land at Basil, and we are just so blessed to be a part of it. My wife and I are involved in the marriage mentor program there.
Very nice.
Where
my wife and I did that for years.
Yeah, young couples they get engaged, and Father Walcheni, who said, listen, I can help with the spiritual side of things, but when it comes to communicating with the opposite sex and the relationship between a husband and wife, I'm going to bring in couples that have a little bit of experience, a little bit more experience in that regard. So we started doing that years ago, and now I think we've ministered to over 35 couples.
Wow,
that's great.
So it's been wonderful because really it does draw my wife and I closer together each and every time we do it.
Yeah, it was great for Marion and I. This is funny you should mention that. So we used to do the communications talk at the thing, and what we would do is we would just model our first fight, which was me coming home not long after we got married and saying, well, we made this fund for my college roommate who unfortunately died, right, when he was 25.
Yeah.
And my buddies and I, we got together, we did a fund for the college for him. And I told the guy, I said, I have no money, because, Joe, I worked in radio. So I had no money, right?
Know how you feel. Yep.
And I said, look, I can't give you a lot of money, but on my 10th anniversary, I'll give you $1,000. And that development officer was so good because he called me on that day and said, well, hey, you made this bid, can we cash in on that? And so the college is right across the street from my office, so I walked the guy a check across the street, but who didn't I tell about this?
Your wife.
My newly married
spouse.
Right?
There's a great platform to break down a little bit, and then let's dissect exactly what happened and what should have happened.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I made the crucial mistake of saying, well, what do you care? It's my money.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, right.
And you're still married.
And somehow she did not,
by the grace of God,
murder me in my sleep that night.
No, communication is the key. I mean, it really is. Yeah. And we don't ever act like experts. My wife and I have been married 33 years now, and we're just there's always something new, but we always do rely on some of the basics that we pass along to these young couples. Active listening, and making sure that you let the other person speak how they feel, and one of the big things, get off your phone. And I'm not just saying that about our relationship, no, but to the young couples, they can really isolate themselves. They don't realize it, but the isolation does happen, constantly.
Our speaking of young couples, our friends, John and Cari Reagan. Of course, Cari is a parishioner at St. Basil's, and John and Cari is the young youth ministry specialist in the diocese. So
right.
You know them. They were married a year yesterday.
Yes,
I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes,
and she still has all the Post-it notes on her door, and only one has fallen off.
Well, the reason I know them is because John's parents, the Reagans, dear friends of ours, and we were very, very, very involved in theater and supporting the high school. Well, John and my son Noah, our youngest son, became friends, and somewhere in high school, John said to Noah, when I get married, you're going to be my best man. Yeah. Now, John and Noah, they remain friends, but not super close, because of, geographical situations, But John stayed here, went to Baldwin Wallace, and Noah went to Bowling Green. Well, John meets Cari, the skies open up, the angels sing, they fall in love, and then John reached out to Noah when he finally decided to get married and said, listen, I'm making that promise happen. Would you be my best man? So Noah was the best man at their wedding, and it was beautiful.
And before Father Krizner's wake, that was probably the last time I saw you.
Right.
And Noah had a beautiful mustache, I remember. I don't know if your wife thought it was so beautiful,
No,
but I
it was
complimented
not.
him on it. It was very powerful.
You said it was magnificent.
Magnificent,
I think I used a word, and Noah came up to us and said, hey, Father Damian called it and magnificent. And I'm thinking, oh, no.
It takes a lot of confidence for a 20-year-old to rock a mustache.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Luckily, it's unrocked. shocked at this point. First thing we did for Christmas, I think we bought him a shave kit.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah. With 4 sons, it's always an adventure, believe us. Yeah.
I had a mustache in high school. Not a good look.
Yeah.
Gross.
He's seen the picture. He's
it was
not kidding.
against our dress code back in the day at Holy
Was
Name.
it
You couldn't have
really?
a mustache, and you couldn't have a
facial
mullet
hair?
either. No
Well, let me
hair
ask you:
past your collar.
when you left those parameters, did you become a little bit of a rebel, Father? When you were
I
able
had
to-
longer hair in at Borromeo in college.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But whatever, Whatever.
It all looks good.
It all looks good.
Yeah, I had a mustache when I got married 33 years ago.
I'm just hoping for dandruff
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. But they're coming back too. Yeah. Some are
Exactly.
magnificent. We'll leave it at that.
I did have my first year here. I remember I had a beard for Lent, and then I had the Easter stash, and the colleagues on the floor were not excited about it the way that I
No,
thought
not
they would be.
particularly.
No.
Yeah.
Peer pressure never ends,
And
does
the
it?
bishop looked at me funny too, and then figure maybe I ought to shave this mustache. Whatever. Okay.
All right. So our gospel for this coming week, the 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. By the Lord this has been done, and it is wonderful in our eyes. That's what stood out to me. I like the whole story actually, where the tenants sort of revolts, and then he sends him his son, and they kill his son, and they say, well, what will the Lord do with what will he do with them? He'll put those men to a wretched death. I was like, this isn't the Bible, folks.
Right.
We're not reading this. We're not making this up.
No, it's heavy. And, it's just, I think we can all relate to being rejected in one form or another. But, boy, I'll tell you, this is definitely the prequel to the biggest rejection that could possibly happen in the Old Testament.
And I like the second reading from Philippians. Have no anxiety at all, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. I don't know about you guys, but it's easy sometimes to just spin in your own head with worry. The Lord wants to know about everything in our lives, and especially those things that we get worried about or make us nervous, and not just the things that make us happy, but the things that make us anxious.
Very much so. In fact, it's built into the Mass every week. Right when you tell us as the priest at the altar, Father, keep us away from anxiety and useless worry. I mean, it's part of the Eucharist prior to receiving it. And I think it's just an ongoing battle. But boy, Paul, in the second reading, just gave us a checklist of everything that we should this is what you focus on. Don't do this, do that. Whatever's true, whatever's honorable, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's great. He's right down the list. I mean, it's really good. It's a great prescription.
Yeah, avoid the stinking thinking.
Very nice.
Amen.
It is so easy to fall into despair, right?
No doubt.
So yeah.
No doubt.
Absolutely. So walk toward the light instead of toward the darkness.
It's definitely the readings this week are definitely back in. It's cool now to make your own wine. It's cool now to make your own beer. So it's just so many times that Jesus used parables to talk to people where they were. The shepherds surrounding them. He would talk about sheep. The kingdom, and there would be pious people around, and he would talk about what it's like to have servants. But I think right now more than ever, a lot of people are brewing their own wine and their own beer, and you know what? It's the recipe of okay, let's go back there, but this is all brand new again. It's very modern, if you think about it.
Yeah, everything old is new again. Our God is eternal, right?
See,
claro. So Joe, good luck at your new job.
Thank you very much. No, I'm excited about it. I
Prayers
really
and
am.
blessings along the way for that.
Thank you.
And thanks for being, just right away. I think we've all kind of become friends up here, and I spend a good deal of time on
Sure.
the 6th floor, and so it's always nice to kind of walk through. But you have a lovely view, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I have no window, which is fine, but I did get a mural. I bought a mural of this beautiful window, and you can pop. That's why making the best out of any situation. I don't care if it was a broom closet I was working out of. I don't care, but no. And I will say this: thank you both for being incredible, welcoming. You've been so nice and so open, but you are very, very common about the attitudes you have here are so similar to so many. When I say common in a good way, there's so many similar attitudes here where people are welcoming and they're so incredibly inviting. on so many different levels, and I do mean that geographically on all the levels here at the Diocese of Cleveland and different departments. People are just so kind, and it's just a wonderful organization to be a part of. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we're sure that we'll be hearing more from Joe all over the diocese, not only on this podcast, but in other venues as well. And so we hope that you have enjoyed today and that we'll hear more from you next time on Question of Faith.